Hey guys, Push here, and as you probably already know, today was Samsung Galaxy Unpacked. Now, while the presentation itself was a little bit cringy, the devices were pretty cool. In this video, I'll be telling you about those devices. I'll tell you some general information like the design, the specs, and the price. But later in the week, I'll upload some more videos about my first impressions and thoughts on these devices, so make sure to subscribe for that. Anyways, let's get started with Samsung Galaxy Unpacked 2020. So the presentation started off with the flagship devices, the Note 20 series. Now, as you probably already know, the Note series is aimed at productivity users, and this is pretty evident with the S Pen and the large display, the large battery, things like that. And to go along with all those features, there's a pretty large price. So we got two different versions. We got the Note 20 and the Note 20 Ultra. The Note 20 is the more like normal people phone, and then the Ultra is like the high-end, super productive, super power user phone. Okay, so the Note 20 has three different finishes: Mystic Bronze, Mystic Black, and Mystic Green. Now, I would have loved to see more colors, but I guess 3 is enough for a premium phone. I mean, you're probably going to put a case on it anyways. So the back of the phone is made out of plastic, unlike the Gorilla Glass 7 Note 20 Ultra. This is probably just to save costs, because this phone is $300 cheaper than the Note 20 Ultra. So moving on to the front of the phone, you're going to have an Infinity O display. This means that there's going to be a hole punch, and that hole punch is going to be in the center of the screen. And the hole punch is going to be a little bit thicker, and the bezels too than the Note 20 Ultra. And I think Samsung's doing this to just aesthetically differentiate the two phones. So just like the Note 10, this phone doesn't have a headphone jack. And this isn't really a surprise because I mean, like, this is a premium phone. If you can afford to pay this much for a phone, then you can probably afford some wireless headphones. And anyways, it's 2020. Everybody's trying to move away from cords. As I said, the back of this phone is going to be plastic, but it's still going to have the same finish as the Note 20 Ultra. So one thing that's different between the Note 10 and the Note 20 is now the S Pen is on the left hand side of the phone. This isn't really a big deal because you're still getting your S Pen, so it doesn't really matter. On the top of the S Pen, the latency has been reduced to 26 milliseconds. Now, while it's reduced to 9 milliseconds on the Ultra, it's still better because it goes down from 42 to 26, so it's still an improvement. So the display on the Note 20 is a flat 6.7-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display. It has a refresh rate of 60Hz and has an aspect ratio of 20:9. Just like the S20, you get an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor underneath the display. So the specs on the Note 20 are pretty good. I mean, you're getting a Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 Plus, 80GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, a 4300 mAh battery which charges to about 100% in an hour, 5G support, IP68 water resistant, Android 10 with One UI 2.5 skin, and stereo speakers. With the cameras, you're also getting some upgrades. On the rear, you get a 12 megapixel wide camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, and a 64 megapixel 3x telephoto camera. So just like the S20 Ultra, you can now record in 8K and you still get your space zoom, which is about 30 times. Now in the Ultra, it was 100 times space zoom, but I guess nobody really used that, so they just switched it down to 30. So when you flip the phone over, you get your 10 megapixel wide lens. This lens is going to sit in the hole punch in the center of the screen. So with these four things, the design, the display, the specs, and the cameras, you're looking at a price of about $999. This is $50 more expensive than the Note 10 that shipped last year. Now, on the other hand, you have the Note 20 Ultra, the ultra premium Samsung phone. This phone is basically every single flagship feature and a lot more than just that. So the design of the Ultra is pretty similar to the Note 20. I mean, you're still getting that satin finish, the no headphone jack in the S Pen, and some other things. But there is a new color. Instead of Mystic Green, you now get Mystic White. Again, this is going to be a matte finish, almost satin, so that's going to give it that premium feel. This phone on the back is going to be made out of Gorilla Glass 7, unlike the plastic on the Note 20. Just like the Note 20, the S Pen has moved to the left-hand side, and there's also a reduction in the latency of the S Pen. Instead of it being 42, now it's about 9, which is similar to the iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil. So the Note 20 Ultra has a curved 6.9-inch WQHD dynamic AMOLED display. It has an adaptive refresh rate of 120Hz and a 19.3:9 aspect ratio. So as I said, this phone's gonna have Gorilla Glass 7. This is supposed to be a little bit stronger than Gorilla Glass 6. And underneath this glass on the front, you're gonna get your ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. You can use this sensor to log into your phone just like the other Samsung devices. So in the specs department of the Note 20 Ultra, you get your Snapdragon 865 Plus. With that, you either get 12GB of RAM or 128GB of storage, or 12GB of RAM and 512GB of storage. Now, this phone supports micro SD card slots, so that means that you can upgrade the storage. This means that you can have up to 1.5TB in your phone, 512GB of onboard UFS 3.1 storage, and then 1TB on the memory card. Now, one thing that's worse with the Note 20 Ultra than the Note 10 Plus is that the battery is smaller by 500 milliamps. Now, the battery will still be able to charge 100% in an hour, but it's still a smaller battery. Other than that, you get the basic things like 5G support, IP68 water resistant, Android 10 with One UI 2.5, wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, and stereo speakers. So the camera has some necessary upgrades too. First of all, it has a 108 megapixel wide lens on the back, a 12 megapixel ultra wide lens, and a 12 megapixel 5x telephoto. This phone can support 50 times space zoom, unlike the 100 times space zoom on the S20 Ultra. Other than that, you also get your laser autofocus system, which is going to help with depth and autofocus on the camera. With that, you get 8K recording, supports of different aspect ratios, and audio changes such as omnidirectional behind and front. And just like the Note 20, you get your standard 10 megapixel wide lens and the hole punch in the center of the screen. So with all these cool new specs and features in this phone like Gorilla Glass 7, 108 megapixel camera, 120Hz refresh rate, and other things like that, this phone is going to cost you $1,299. Now this is a very expensive phone, but it's still $100 cheaper than the S20 Ultra. So that's it with the Note series, and these are very premium phones, so I don't think that many people are actually going to buy them. But because they're so expensive, Samsung will still make some money off these phones. So the next thing they talked about is the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 and S7 Plus. So with the design, this looks pretty similar to the iPad Pro. I mean, it has the same boxy design and same thin bezels all the way around. I don't know if this was a coincidence, but if you put them side by side, they look very similar. So just like the Note 20 series, the S Pen will come included in the box, and like the Ultra, the latency has been reduced to 9 milliseconds. And the weird thing with this S Pen is that it sits on the back of the device underneath the cameras. Like, I think there should have been some more intuitive way to place the S Pen somewhere. Like the Note 20 series, you can stick it inside the phone, so I guess there should be a slot inside the tab to just stick the S Pen in there, and it'll automatically charge when it's out of way. With it being underneath the camera, there's going to be some weird things going on with cases and things like that. So I don't know how case manufacturers and Samsung are going to deal with this, but we'll have to see. So the normal S7 and S7 Plus will come in 3 different finishes: Mystic Bronze, Mystic Black, and Mystic Silver. The 5G versions will only have one color, which is Mystic Black. So now moving on to the displays of these two devices. The standard S7 will have an 11-inch LED display with a refresh rate of 120Hz, and it'll have a resolution of 2560 by 1600. The S7 Plus, however, will have a 12.4-inch AMOLED display. This will also have a 120Hz refresh rate and a resolution of 2800 by 1752. So with specs, both of these devices are pretty powerful. I mean, they have a Snapdragon 865 Plus, 6GB of RAM or 8GB of RAM, and up to 126GB of storage. They'll both support 5G, and the S7 Plus will have a 10,090 mAh battery, and the S7 will have an 8,000 mAh battery. Both these devices support 45-watt fast charging, and they come with a quad speaker setup that supports Dolby Atmos. Again, in 2020, there's sort of this trend, I don't know how, about talking about cameras in a tablet. Like, this is a tablet. You don't need a good camera on a tablet. But Apple and Samsung, I mean, it's not a bad thing. Like, sure, it's a good thing having better cameras, but I mean, at the end of the day, you could probably spend that money somewhere else and make some other component better, but something's getting better at least, so I guess the cameras, whatever. So on the Galaxy Tab S7 and S7 Plus, you get a 13 megapixel wide camera and a 5 megapixel ultra wide. On the front, you get your 8 megapixel wide camera, which is hidden in the bezels. So with all these things, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 will cost $649, and the S7 Plus will cost $849. This is pretty competitive with the iPad Pro because that starts at about $800, and this starts at $150 less. So next up, Galaxy Buds Live, and with the design, I really don't know where to start. Like, they flat out look like beads. So they'll come in 3 different colors: Mystic Bronze, Mystic Black, and Mystic White. Like I said, the case is going to be almost a satin finish, but the buds themselves will be glossy. So there's some pretty decent features in this headphones. Like, they have up to 6 hours on a single charge or 21 hours with the case. They support active noise cancelling, and the weird thing with that is that in the presentation, they're like, oh, they have active noise cancelling, but they're like, but you can still hear things around you. I don't know how that makes sense. Isn't that like almost like not active noise cancelling? Because you say it can tune out the things you don't need to hear, and it can tune up the things that you need to hear, like subway station call names or something like that. I don't know. But if I was listening to music or a podcast and I went on active noise cancellation, I technically would be hoping to not hear anything except the music, and this kind of defeats the purpose because I don't want to hear somebody's voice or like some subway name calls or anything like that. So I mean, I don't know, I guess you just like not put them on noise cancelling. So just how the Tab S7 is kind of like the iPad Pro, these Galaxy Buds Live are giving me AirPods vibes. Now, while active noise cancellation isn't an Apple feature, sharing audio definitely is, and with these you can share audio. One thing that I really do like, and it's not similar to AirPods Pro, is the Spotify integration. Now, Spotify is like integrated with the Buds Live, so you can like hold on the side of the bud and then like start playing music on Spotify automatically. This is pretty cool because maybe you don't want to pull out your phone, open up Spotify, and then play music. You can just have your buds in and just hold, and then you can start playing music if you want. So these were rumored to go on sale for $150, which would have been a pretty great price, but during the event, Samsung said that they're going to sell for $169. And this is $10 more than the standard second generation AirPods Pro. So if you're an Apple user or you have like any Apple device, I think I'd recommend you the Apple AirPods Pro 2nd generation. But unless you want that mystic color scheme or active noise cancellation, then I guess you could get these. But other than that, those are the Samsung Galaxy Buds Live. Next up, the Galaxy Watch 3. This didn't get really any like major new features or changes, but there were some and they're like pretty good, I guess. So first of all, in design, it has 3 new colors: Mystic Bronze, Mystic Black, and Mystic Silver. Also, there's 2 new sizes, 41mm and 45mm. Samsung also claims that there's going to be 80,000 new watch faces, and I think these are just going to be like the same watch face with like 12 different color variants. So that's probably a lot less. It's probably like 10,000, 9,000, which is still a lot, but I mean, it's probably not exactly 80,000 as they're marketing. You also have this new feature to where you can like take a photo of your clothes and then the watch will automatically like do some AI and generate a watch face that matches your clothes. That's kind of cool, but it's more of a gimmick than a real feature. So with the actual features included, they're more health orientated, like blood pressure scanning, ECG scanning, and blood oxygen scanning. These aren't going to be as accurate as if you went to a doctor and did all these tests, but it's going to be like in the ballpark, so having this on your wrist is pretty cool, just like the Apple Watch. So yeah, there's some cool new features with this watch, but if you already have an older version, then I don't think this is worth upgrading. But if you don't have this watch yet, maybe I guess you could go ahead and try it out. So you're gonna pay $329 for the 41mm Samsung Galaxy Watch 3 and $399 for the 45mm. This is almost a similar price to the Apple Watch, so there's not gonna be a real like you should buy this one because it's cheaper or you should get this one because it's more expensive. So the last thing that they revealed, or more actually talked about, was the Galaxy Z Fold 2. So with the design, there's 2 new colors, Mystic Bronze and Mystic Black. You also get much thinner bezels on the phone, like all around, on the inside display and on the outside display. Last year on the outside display, the bezels were so thick, but this year they're a lot smaller, and instead it's an Infinity O display with a hole punch on both screens. The phone is also a little bit thinner than last year's Galaxy Fold. I don't know if this is really going to add to the durability, but I sure hope it doesn't take away. So the display on the outside is a 6.2-inch 120Hz AMOLED display. It has much thinner bezels and it has an Infinity O display with a hole punch cutout in the center. On the inside, you get a 7.6 dynamic AMOLED display with a refresh rate of 120Hz. The hole punch on this is kind of centered weirdly because it's not even really centered. If from the left, it's like 3/4 down the phone, so it's halfway between the right side of the phone, if that makes any sense. Last year, the inside screen was made out of plastic, so it could get scratches pretty easily. But this year, Samsung has made this new glass called UTG, or ultra thin glass. This is like going to be made up of different elements like plastic, adhesive, and actually glass itself. And it'll be a lot thinner so that can actually fold. We'll have to see J-Rig Everything's durability test for this, but I guess it's more promising than the plastic on last year's phone. There's also a new folding hinge which has like vacuum technology in it, or at least that's what they said. They said like, oh, their designers were watching some vacuum commercial.
And on the 108th try, we invented what we now call the sweeper. Interestingly enough, we got the idea from a vacuum cleaner commercial.
So in terms of specs, there wasn't really that much information on the website. I mean, you're getting your Snapdragon 865 Plus, 12GB of RAM, and 256GB of storage, and 5G support. That's basically all it said. Same thing with the cameras. I mean, on their website, they didn't really have that much information about the specs of the cameras, what lenses they were going to have, or anything like that. They only had a picture of what it's going to look like. Based on the picture, it looks pretty similar to the Note 20 Ultra, so I guess you can expect a camera system similar to that. Once again, there wasn't any official information on the price of this phone, but I think you can expect a similar price of $1,980. It might be a little bit more expensive than that, but I don't really think so. So that's pretty much it for Galaxy Unpacked 2020. I mean, the devices they showed were pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for the future of Samsung phones and just technology in general, so that's a pretty good thing for everybody in the consumer market. So this video was basically just an overview. I told you the design, the specs, and the price, things like that. If you want more of a opinion-based videos, then make sure to subscribe. Anyways, that's it for this video. Make sure to like, share, and obviously subscribe. Also hit that notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter for updates on my channel and when I'm going to post a new video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.